Okay, now that we have our sub-assemblies drawn, we'll start putting them all together. So I'm going to start off with the crankcase and the cylinder assemblies. So I've placed one crankcase here. I pinned it at the origin and I flipped it around so that I have the two holes down the bottom here. Okay, so I have a hole here, and a hole on the other side for the cylinders. Now I only brought one cylinder in to show you something. Okay, if I have a part here, okay, I can take and hold my control button down, grab that assembly, and I can copy another one there. Again, and copy one there. So I need three for this assembly. Okay, so I'm going to free rotate this top one. Okay, and I'm going to join, and I'm going to pick this hole here. Okay, and this hole here. Let's see where that put that. Okay, that made it rotational. Okay, and it looks like it is going the correct way. Let me make this rigid. Okay, and that should be lined up just how we want it. Okay, now we can just do the same thing with the other three, the other two. I'll take this one. I'll go from this little hole to the little hole here. Okay, now this one is going to be flipped the wrong way, so I'll change it. Okay, and I'm going to make this rigid. Okay, if this was in the wrong spot, well, let me show you on the next one. Okay, so I'm going to take this one and I will pick joint, pick this little hole here, and then this one here. Now it's kind of hard to tell where it's at on that one, so I'm going to go to my regular view, and I notice this is the wrong way. I can flip it. Okay, I'll make that rigid. Okay, and we should be okay. We'll take a look at the right side. That looks pretty good. That side looks good. So they all look pretty good. All right. So we can move on from there. I'm going to take and I'm going to put the crank disc in here with the crank pin. So I'll go to place. Okay, and I have my crank disc pin assembly. It's going to go somewhere around there. Okay, I can join those, and I'll make the center of this one right there be the center of that one. Okay, and I want to make sure that it's rotational. Okay, so when I pick OK, I'm able to rotate this, okay, because that's what we're going to need when we do that. So, okay. Okay, so now we have our crank disc in there and our crank pin, and now we're going to put the piston in. I'm going to put piston assembly B in first. That is the straight one. I'm going to go to place, and I'm going to go to piston assembly B. I'm going to pick open, and I'm going to slap it right there. Okay, now I'm going to constrain the center line of this with the center line of the cylinder. Okay, and it's going the right way, so that is fine. I'm going to pick OK. Now, when we bring a sub-assembly into another assembly, okay, it is rigid. Okay, when we made this sub-assembly, this part was able to swing back and forth. It cannot now. Okay, so what we have to do when we bring a sub-assembly in there that has movement is I'm going to click on it, right-click, and I'm going to go to flexible. Okay, that'll allow it to move the way it was originally intended. So now I'm going to go to constrain, and I'm going to pick the center of this and the center of that. and make sure that's 0, and I'm going to pick OK. Now I should be able to rotate that around. Okay, now I'm going to bring the other two pistons in, piston A, okay, because there's two of those. So I'll get piston A, I'll put one here and one here, pick OK. I'm going to go to constrain again, and I'll pick the center of this one, the center of that one. Now it's going the wrong way, so I'm going to flip it around. Okay, so that's sticking out there. I'm going to pick OK. Again, I need to make this flexible, so I'm going to right click, pick flexible. Now I'm going to constrain the center line of that second one to the center line of the pin again, make sure that's 0, and pick OK. Alright, so now they're right next to each other. Now the third one could be a little trickier because we have to make sure that it's flipped the right way, because we don't want it to be on the same as one of these two. It's going to be on this face here. So I'm going to go to constrain, pick that center, pick this center. Now it's going the wrong way. I'm going to flip it this way. Okay, I'm going to pick OK. Again, I have to make sure that that's flexible. So I'm going to click on it, right click, go down to flexible. Now I want to constrain the center line here with the center line here. Make that 0. Now notice it is in the same spot as this one. So all I have to do is flip this. Now I have 1, 2, 3 in a row. Okay, so now I have those there. Take my pin and I can rotate it around. Okay, now we're going to put the valves in there, and that will be next. Be in there first, which again is going to be on this top one. I'm going to go place, and I got valve assembly, I spelled assembly wrong. And I'll pick open, and I'm just going to flip that around because I want it turned around. So I'm going to flip it around Y, and one more time. Okay, just so it's close to the position I want. Okay, now I'm going to take and I'm going to constrain the center of this one to the center of that. Make sure it's 0. Don't know why it does that. Pick OK. I'm going to free rotate this guy around a little bit so I can see that. And I'm going to constrain this surface to that flat surface there. So I'm going to go constrain that one and that one. Okay, again, make sure it's 0. And I'm going to pick OK. So now this guy's able to swing around like this. Okay. Now the next one that we're going to do is called transitional. Now to do that, I want to make it a little easier on us. So I'm going to highlight that valve we just put in. I'm going to hold the shift button down. I'm going to highlight the pin. I'm going to right click and I'm going to pick isolate. Okay, don't worry about this associativity and we should be fine. Now I'm going to pick the transitional. Okay, so I'm going to go up here to transitional. We only have one option. Okay, first we're going to pick the round surface that we want. Now we have to make sure we pick it on the right side. If I pick it over here, I have to pick this fork on this side. Okay, so I'm going to pick here, and then I'm going to rotate around, and I'm going to pick the surface here. Okay, now if you notice, it looks like I picked the wrong surface. Okay, so I'm going to cancel that. Okay, move this guy. Maybe we'll try it this way. And I'll go constrain again. I go to transitional. I'll pick this side. And then I'll pick this side of the fork. Okay, and that looks better. So if I pick OK, Now when I swing this guy around, it follows that path along there. Okay, so I'm going to go and undo isolate. Okay, now let's try the other ones. We're going to take another valve assembly and I'm going to place it here. Now I'm going to pick the right one. Now it doesn't really matter which is right and which is left as long as you have one on each side. Okay, so I'm going to go to place and I'm going to pick the right side. I'm going to pick open and I'm just going to flip that guy around so that it's kind of like that, and then pick OK. Now I'm going to align or constrain this center hole with this pivot. I'm going to make sure that's 0. I'm going to pick OK. Alright, I'm going to rotate everything a little bit. Okay, so it's kind of like this. I rotate this guy around this way a little bit. Then I'm going to do a free rotate and I'm going to constrain this surface with that surface. Pick that surface with that surface. Okay, so again, now we're able to pivot around there. Again, just to make it easy on me, I'm going to highlight him, hold the shift button down, highlight the pin, move off there, right click and pick isolate. Don't worry about the associativity. Now again, I want to make sure I do the right places. Okay, so I'm going to try doing here and this side of the fork. So again, I'm going to go to transitional. I'm going to pick this side of that. I'm going to rotate around, pick this surface, and that looks like it did the right thing. Okay, if I go back here, okay, now it follows that around pretty nicely. Right click, undo isolate, let's see how it's looking. Okay, pretty good so far. Alright, so we've got the right one in there. Now let's put the left one in. Okay, and that should look pretty good around there. Let's constrain the center of this. Oops. Go back to 1 again because I missed it. The center of that. The center of that one. Make sure it's 0. Okay, I'm going to pick OK. I'm going to free rotate this guy a little bit so I can see both surfaces. And I'm going to constrain here and here. Okay, so that should be good. Okay, I'm going to take and I'm going to highlight this one and the pin again and isolate them. Okay, now I'm going to try this surface here and that one. I'm going to constrain, I'm going to go to transitional. Okay. And I want this side of it. And this side of that. And that looks like that is going to be right. Okay, now right click and undo isolate. Now when I move this around, everybody's moving around very nicely. Oops. And that's what we want. Okay, so now what we're going to do is let's put our flywheel assembly on. So I'll go to place, my flywheel assembly, I'll pick open, and I'll slap it right there. Okay, now I will join this part of the circle with the circle and the pin there. Okay, and let's see what happens if I make that rigid. I'm going to pick OK. Now you'll notice when I move this around, that the flywheel moves as well. Okay, so that is what we want. Oops. Okay, now I'm going to take a look at how we can put some movement on here to watch it all move. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put this pin, and I'm going to put an angle between the pin here and the top of the crankcase. Okay, then when I drive that at an angle, it should go around in a circle. So I'm going to go to constrain, and I'm going to pick angle, and I'm going to pick undirected, and I'm going to pick this surface here pointing up and this surface here pointing up, and I'll call that 0, and I'll pick OK. Okay, now I have to find out where that particular constraint is. If I click on my pin, which is where I put it, you'll see it becomes highlighted over here. I'll open that up, and here you'll see an angle. Okay, I'm going to right click on the angle, and I'm going to pick drive. Now right now it's started at 0, and it's only going to go 10 degrees. So I'm going to click on it just to make sure it looks like it's going to move. So that looks about right. Okay, so I'm going to see it go around in a circle, so I'll do 360. Okay, and that is moving very nicely. I'll put it back. Okay, I might want it to go a little faster, so now I can change the degrees here to maybe 10 and then run it. Okay, and that's much faster. And then I can add this, maybe make it 3600. Okay, and there's my assembly moving frontwards and backwards. Okay, we have some more pieces to put in here. Okay, I left out a couple of pieces, and I'll show you how to fix that. Okay, so let's go on from there. What to do, and we'll do it now, is I forgot to put the screws in that holds the cylinder to the crankcase. So I'm just going to take the crankcase here, right click, and I'm going to isolate it. Okay, so it's all by itself there. I'm going to take and I'm going to place, okay, 2 of the short screws, 3 of the short screws there. Put one here, here, and here. Okay, and now I should have done this before, but I didn't, so I'll go to joint. Okay, the small hole, the small hole. That looks good. This guy around. I'll go from the small hole to the small hole. And that looks good. Okay, I'll flip this guy around a little bit. Okay, I'll take from the small hole to the small hole. Okay, while I'm here looking at this one, I also have a crankcase cover to put on here, so I'll go to place. Okay, and I got the crankcase cover. I'm going to pick OK. Okay, I'm just going to rotate this on the Y so it's kind of like in the right spot, and I'll put one there. Okay, now I'm going to line these guys up. So go and rotate this a little bit this way, and then I'm going to free rotate this guy back a little bit. Okay, and I'm going to pick a join, and I want this back edge here in the center right there to the center of this one right there. Okay, and you'll see that it's rotational. And what I want to do is I want to align this hole with that hole, and then I'm going to make it rigid, and that is good. I'm going to take 3 of the long screws, one there, there, and there. Okay, while I'm here, I'm also going to put our bearing. Excuse me. Okay, and here's my main bearing. I'm going to open that up. I'll just slap in there for now. Okay, I'm going to put these guys on. I'm going to go to joint, get the small hole if you can get it. Apply. Small one. Whoops. That didn't go too well, so let's go this way. Okay, let me rotate this guy a little bit and rotate this guy a little bit, just make it easier. Okay, and then I'll joint these. This should make it much easier. That one there. That one there. I'll pick a ply. Okay, then I will take and I will put this center here, or this edge here, with that edge there. Okay, I'll flip that around. I want it that way. And that can be rigid as well. And I'll pick OK. Bring this guy back. And right click and undo isolate. Okay, and we have the more of our drawing there. You'll notice that when I put this drive in there, you can't rotate that anymore. Okay, let's put our mount on the bottom here. So I'm going to go to place, and somewhere I got my mount. I'm going to pick OK, and that's about how I want it oriented, so I'll pick OK. Swing this around. Let's move this guy here. Okay, and let's see if we can join these guys here. That one to that one. Okay, and I want to align it. Okay, with that one there. Oops. Let's go back and align that one with that one. And we'll make that rigid. Okay, I'll pick OK. We'll take and put 2 screws in there. So that is the small short screws. Okay, and I'll take one here and here somewhere and get them nice and easy. Okay. Go to joint. Small one. The small one. That's going to be okay. The small one. The small one. And that should be okay. Alright. So now let's place our base in there. I'll go up to here to place. There's our base. I'll pick OK. And I'll put it like here. Pick OK. Okay, let me swing this around a little bit. Move this guy here a little bit. Now let's take and let's join the little one hole here and the hole underneath here if I can get to it. I might have to rotate it. course it does go to that way. Okay, it looks like we've got it aligned right. We'll make it rigid. Okay, and let's see what it looks like. Okay, and that looks pretty good. Now we'll take and we'll put our manifold in. Okay, so I need my manifold assembly. Oops, and I've got that under sub-assemblies, manifold assembly. Okay, I'll just turn this like I want it. Pick OK. Okay, I'm going to free rotate this guy a little bit so I can see underneath there. Okay, I'm going to join this one here to that hole there. Okay, I'm going to pick a line, that one to that one should be fine, and then make it rigid. Okay, alright, so now what we have to do is we have to get our screws for this. What we do is we want to put our screws in there. Okay, so we're just going to use sheet metal screws. I'm going to place from content center. Okay, and here I have round head sheet metal screws. Okay, now any of these should do, but I have a slotted pan head tapping screw type B inch, that should be fine. Okay, slap it there. Okay, we want about a number 6 and we want it to be 3/4 of an inch long. I'm going to put one there and one back there. Okay, I'm going to take this guy and I'll join it from there to there. Flip it around, that should be good, and take over here, turn this one around, a little bit more that way, join there, from there to there, flip it around. Okay, and we should be good. Alright, and that is our entire assembly. Again, if I go here to my crank disc and my angle and pick drive, okay, there's our working air engine. Okay, any problems, just let me know.